to arrive at a permanent ceasefire and to put an end to the Israeli siege on Gaza. Egypt calls upon you to implement United Nations resolutions and to adopt a new Security Council resolution that obliges Israel to put an end to its aggression and its crimes. Mediation does not run counter to the role of the United Nations and its bodies in putting an end to the aggression and saving innocents. 6. Egypt warns of the danger of the escalating occupation practices in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Egypt calls for an end to the Israeli attacks on Palestinian cities, to put an end to the expansion of settlements, to punishing the settlers for their terrorism, to allow the sisterly and brotherly Palestinian people to move with no limitations and to be able to access the resources, to put an end to the violations perpetrated against holy sites in Jerusalem and affect its status, and to lift all the limitations that are being imposed on the UNRWA and its work in the occupied Palestinian territories. 7. Egypt condemns the Israeli attacks against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We condemn any practices that are a violation of international law, the United Nations Charter, and the sovereignty of countries, their territorial integrity, the principles of good neighborliness, and the peaceful settlement of disputes. We express our concern over this dangerous escalation, which warns of grave consequences on the security of the region. Egypt confirms the need to rid the Middle East of weapons of mass destruction and nuclear weapons in accordance with relevant international resolutions with no selectivity. We stress the need that all countries in the region must accede to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Mr. President, we can list once again the statistics that reflect the catastrophic situation in Gaza, the criminality of the Israeli aggression, but we definitely do not need further evidence to justify saving the Palestinians. Those of us who need to see the pictures of dead children, of grieving mothers, of civilians burning alive to find a reason to put an end to this massacre, and we do not need these pictures to put an end to this massacre that nobody can deny. What is happening in Gaza is a source of shame to the international community as a whole, and it must be stopped immediately. In closing, and in light of the above, we ask the members of the General Assembly to continue in their noble position that supports the rights of the Palestinian people, that support the right of the Palestinian people to have their independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital, and to grant it full membership in the United Nations. This is the only path to peace in the region. There is no other path. There is no room to stand in neutrality, because silence is collusion, and any hesitation in supporting the Palestinian rights is treachery, and voting in favor of any draft resolution that aims to save the civilians in the Palestinian territories is a legal obligation and a moral necessity. Do not let humanity down. I thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Egypt. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Ivan Gil Pinto, Minister of People's Power for Foreign Relations of the Bolivarian.
Egypt condemns the Israeli strikes with the sovereignty of Iran and expresses, of course, Egypt expresses its concern. Egypt confirms that it does not, that it wants to get rid of any weapons in the region of mass destruction, and that it is unacceptable for any country in the region to have weapons of mass destruction for the sake of the entire region and the non-proliferation treaty. And of course, these were the words of the Egypt's permanent representative at the United Nations. And also he discussed Gaza and he said we should put an end to this massacre in Gaza that's taking place. What's happening in Gaza is criminal law to the international community. The only path is peace in the region. No other stand could be taken. No neutrality, this was his words. Legal obligations do not let humanity down. He also discussed the escalation of the situation in Gaza and that human civilians and which are of course on top of the civilians, women and children that are killed in atrocities and genocides every day in Gaza, and and he really condemned what's happening at this point in Iran, not with the idea of weaponizing or of nuclear weapons, but the idea of a conflict that is escalating at this point.